Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I want to talk about Ikhwan Al-Muslimin, which is becoming very popular, and especially in my city, the Ikhwan rule the whole city basically. All of the masajids are Ikhwani. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad Khatam al-Anbiya wal-Mursaleen. We live in a time when many have become confused. It's like widespread now. We see Muslims carrying slogans. There's many movements around, a lot of activism, but these Muslims are devoid of what Islam is all about. Tawheed and pure Aqidah, calling to Allah with clarity and evidence. One of these most widespread movements are the Ikhwan Al-Muslimin, the so-called Muslim Brotherhood. It was founded in the 20th century by Hassan al-Banna, and it continues to inspire a lot of activism across the globe. I mean, especially it's seen in Western countries, like in Europe and Canada and America. But when you look deep into this group, it may sound nice, but it's built nowhere upon the Quran and Sunnah and the understanding of the Salaf. But you'll find that it's just a mixture of tasawwuf, of modernism, of pragmatism, of Marxism, everything, and then they put Islam on the label on top of it and call it Ikhwan Al-Muslimin. But it has nothing to do with Islam. First, what is their call? Their call is not the call of the prophets. When you study the call of the prophets, like in the Quran and Hadith, let's say Nuh alayhi salam to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, you see the first pillar of their da'wah was Tawheed, calling to Tawheed, Kufr bil-Taghut, rejecting all forms of shirk. But Ikhwan Al-Muslimin did not even begin with Tawheed. They began with politics. They began with social reform. They began with independence movements. They chose to remain silent on the widespread shirk in the so-called Muslim states. The widespread shirk of grave worship, of saint veneration, of Sufi kufr, for the sake of their unity and activism, of democracy and whatnot. Where is the rejection of the widespread kufr in the Muslim world, or the Murtad world? Where is their clarification of correct Aqidah? Instead, Hassan al-Banna and the Ikhwan, what did they say? Let's work together what we agree upon and excuse each other in what we differ. This is not the manhaj of the Prophet or the Salaf. This is religious pluralism, and it's disguised as something called Islamic unity. Now let's go back to Hassan al-Banna, the founder of Ikhwan. He was a Sufi, and he pledged allegiance to the Shadili Tariqah. He himself said he gave bay'ah to a sheikh of the Hasafi Sufi order, and continued in his company. This allegiance, it shapes his own worldview. Rather than rejecting the innovations and kufr of the Sufiya, the Ikhwan remained soft towards these practices, and many of these members continue to hold Sufi leanings. The Ikhwan were basically neo-Sufis. This is why you see the Ikhwan, they never talked about grave worship, tawassul, or the cults. These are actual cults of the Sufi tariqas that dominate all of these lands, Egypt and Pakistan and Turkey, etc. Now also, another main thing about Ikhwan is that they believe in democracy. They believe in a gradual reform through modern institutions like parliaments, constitutions, elections, and voting. But democracy is based on popular sovereignty. The idea that the people legislate, not Allah. Like the people vote into politicians, and they decide what is halal, what is haram. They legislate when Allah is the only legislator. Ikhwan defended democracy and used it. They participated in these political systems and even called for coalition governments with secularists and Christians. Is this how an Islamic nizam is built? Did the Prophet ﷺ held elections with the Quraysh? Did the companions organize campaigns to win seats? Did they join the Roman and the Persian parliaments? Like seriously, this is not Islam. This is compromising the deen. And when you compromise the deen, you already lost. Now also, these people, even if they are kuffar themselves, they ally with people of innovation and kuffar too. Ikhwan is famous for calling to the unity of all Muslim groups, regardless of their beliefs. They unite with the Ash'ira and the Maturidiyya. They unite with the Sufiya, the Rafida, and even secular nationalists and Christians, under the banner of anti-imperialism and unity. Their leaders and thinkers also praise Iran. They praise Hezbollah and other Shia leaders, ignoring their kufr beliefs and their clear hatred of the Sahaba. If you look at their books, it's actually disgusting. Their ideology is unity over creed, and it's a cancer in this ummah, leading people to think that you could have any belief you want. As long as we have the same political enemy, we're all brothers. But Ahlul Sunnah has always been clear. Ahlul Bid'ah are not to be united with. Ahlul Kufr are not to be united with. They are warned against. They are our enemies. We have bara'ah from them. Now let's look at their legacy. What did Ikhwan do? What did Ikhwan do? Everywhere you look, you see them. They haven't done anything in these countries of Egypt, in Pakistan, anything. They get like few votes and that's it. They lost the dunya and they lost the akhirah. They just spread their shirk everywhere. They spread their kufr everywhere, and they haven't gained anything. I mean, at least gained the dunya, but they couldn't even do that. Everywhere you look, even in these Western countries, they're selling the deen. They're selling the deen to just look good. They are nowhere close to what the Salaf would want. The Quran says, "Whoever turns away from my remembrance, for him is a life of hardship." Surah Taha. Ikhwan turned away from the remembrance of Allah. They turned away from the correct aqidah and the method of the Salaf, and from the priority, the main focus of Islam is Tawheed, and they replaced it with their slogans, their flags, their calls for unity, and their party politics. Now the way forward, all Muslimin, do not be deceived by their numbers. Do not be impressed by their slogans or their calls. The truth is in the following of what the Prophet ﷺ had given us. We follow the Quran and Sunnah and the way of the Salaf. We don't follow in the way of the Democrats and Ikhwan on chasing elections and forming coalitions. The path of success is not through Ikhwan, it's not through Hizb al-Tahrir or any political movement. The path of success is learning the correct aqidah of the Salaf, calling to Tawheed, focusing on Tawheed, and avoiding the innovations and kufr that's become widespread, and establishing Islam in ourselves, in our families, in our community, with knowledge, with true knowledge, not what they teach in Medina University or Al-Azhar. As the Salaf said, the last part of this ummah will not be corrected except what corrected its first part. And what corrected the first part was not democracy. It was not political reform. It was not activism. What corrected it was Tawheed. It was following the Quran and Sunnah. Our final warning: Ikhwan Al-Muslimin is not a revivalist movement. It's a political experiment. It's a bunch of ideologies that came together and they put Ikhwan Al-Muslimin, such a beautiful name for such a disgusting idea. Islam does not need experiments. It needs submission to the Quran and Sunnah, not to Al-Hasan al-Banna, not to Sayyid Qutb, not to Mawdudi. So we must return to the truth and hold tight to it. And beware of those who try to mix truth with falsehood in the name of revival. وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.